So yeah, I think that's when I just started looking into that type of literature, and then I started learning about transcendental meditation, and I was like, oh, like it was always these very like short-lived band-aids on a sinking ship, you know. That's kind of how I see it.
Yeah,
it's like oh, this feels really good, and I'm like so at peace, and I've like been able to like you know, I'd have anxiety at the airport, and I'd go into the bathroom and like say my mantra, and then and I'll be fine. It's like, but it was these crutches, you know.
Right.
So now I'm gonna fast forward to like the first post that I ever made about talking about like throwing away my occult books.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think that everybody kind of honed in, my fans included, on the witchcraft books, because there was a lot more of those than there was the others. But I actually threw away all my meditation books, all my books on yoga, all my like, it wasn't just the stuff that people considered spooky, which, you know, I don't think some of it is, but and I think that it's easier to look at like a story, like what I wrote, and mind you, I prayed a lot about that post prior to doing it. Like I spent time on writing that caption because I knew the intentions behind it were to like start being able to talk about where I'm at in life, you know.
And that was what, 2020?
Yeah.
Or so?
I think so, yeah. And it was such an, so I posted this post on Instagram where I just took a picture of a good chunk of these books that I took from my library. I have a library of like 300 to 500 books. And so this was a very small, like a small amount of books out of that collection that I just wanted to get rid of. Like I don't want to say that they were haunting me, but it's like, I already knew they were there. I have my son who's growing up and is becoming curious. And it's like, you know, there were some art books I threw away too that weren't in that picture that were like, I don't know if I want my kid to look at that, you know, like, but to me, it was like, I came to this really awesome realization that night that I decided to post that, was that like, I don't want these crutches in my life anymore, you know? And that's what I really saw them as, is like, okay, like, I just want Jesus. And it's a very narrow road, right? Like, I feel like all these other, like these breathing techniques or these, or like spell work or whatever, like, nature worship, all these things, it's like, they're just crutches. They're not really like my answer. And so for me, I would rather eliminate any distractions. And this is just for what works for me, you know? So that was like, it was a symbolic gesture, I guess, in a way, but it was my first like proclaiming of where I stand with certain things. And it was crazy to watch the reaction, because in the comments, it was like, I feel like you could see literal demons hissing at each other. And it was coming from both sides, you know, from people that were like, oh, I don't think Aleister Crowley's evil, or hey, like, why would you throw this away? You should give them to people. Like, that's so wasteful, or whatever. Or there's nothing wrong with what I see in these pictures. And then there would be the Christians that were like attacking and kind of saying equally as evil things too, you know, that weren't helping anybody. And that night, I feel like two people came to my house. So at the time we lived in LA and we had a gated house, and I was upstairs with my son and the doorbell rang and we had like a security system, and my husband looks and it was, he screenshotted it, and it was just this possessed person, you know, who just was like, hi, you know, I don't want to freak you out, but I just want to know if I could please have those books, you know, like I really need those books. I need those books. And it was just like, and you could see the darkness in this eye, and like, like why I think, like when I say things, I definitely think that people over
spiritualize.
No,
like,
I just think a lot of people, especially in the Christian community, like call everything demonic, and I don't think everything is demonic. Like, but in this case, I was like, I think this is a definition of a demon. Like, this person is possessed and is no longer in control of what they would normally do, because they're obsessed either with fame or with the desire to bring certain evils into your life, you know? I think that's crazy. You know, my husband ushered him away. Then the second person came and they tried to break into our trash cans.
Wow.
Which I had already thrown.
To get the books.
Yes. Yeah. Which were all readily available online anyway. I mean, I did have like first editions of stuff, but it's like, what is it in you that's like so desperate for, like, again, trying to find these answers in the wrong places, a literal trash can.
Yeah.
And it kind of was like a very like sobering moment for me, because I was like, man, like this, I don't want to have anything to do with this. Seeing things in real time, and they were much worse in real life than I think what people even put on TV. And so I was like, man, maybe like, so I started just kind of like reevaluating, kind of going down the list of what I'm doing with my life and like what my perspectives are. And then it got to the part of like my spirituality. And that's where I started really rethinking a lot of things. And so I think a friend had sent me a sermon from Pastor Jack Hibbs, and I loved it. Like, it really spoke to me, and like it answered a lot of questions that I had. And so then I started that. My son at the time was like still a baby, so I wasn't going to church, but we would watch like sermons every Sunday. And so that was kind of like, I just desired more and more and more. And so I just started studying the Bible, and it was like, I think it was, it's so cool to be able to do it as an adult. I think like I was very lucky that I had parents that were Christian and enforced certain things at a time when I couldn't understand things, even though it wasn't as effective. Like, I do credit my dad for everything, because I remember finding myself in very dark moments, and like intuitively I was praying.
Yeah.
And it wasn't because my dad made me. Like, it was because because he'd been waiting. That's all. And so, like, when you can fall in love and learn as an adult, it's so much more meaningful and real than it is when you're a child just doing it because this is what we do, and this is how we do it, So I mean, I'm on fire for Jesus. Like, I don't plan on this dimming out. Like, the more and more I learn, the more and more excited I get about things, and the more at ease I am about what's happening in this world and what's happening, in my marriage, or in, in all of it. So I do want to go back though to like the occult stuff, because,
Sure.
I don't even want to say occult stuff, but like, just like the tarot cards and all that stuff. Like, not to diss any of my friends, because I have a lot of friends that are into that stuff, and I love them so much. I have actually more empathy and understanding than I think an average person, because I've been there. But I will say that my husband and I, we look at the Rolodex of friends that we have, and the ones that are dictating their life through that, and they're making life decisions through tarot or through, some of the witchcraft stuff, like even the meditation stuff, or like, and I'm going to definitely offend a lot of people, but like the ayahuasca trips, or the meditation camps and silent retreats, all the things that I used to do, except I never did ayahuasca, but like, they're all so miserable.
Yeah.
And like, they're the most broke people. Usually most of them are single. They don't have stability. And I'm talking about like both financial and like the love around them.
Right.
There's always this drama and dread and doom and gloom. And I was one of them,
Yeah.
And it's like, that's one thing that I would look around at my Christian friends, and I'm like, they're not perfect by any means.
Yeah.
But I want what you have, like, I love the light that you have. And it's like, so we're like, let's not be dummies anymore, and let's just like figure out what this obviously hasn't worked for us, let's like explore this. And so that's kind of like my whole perspective on it. I think again, like, I have no intentions of cutting off my friends that I don't necessarily agree with, or don't see things the same way. I don't think Jesus would either. And so it's like, because I got a lot of criticism after I posted that baptism video, and I think that like Christians,
if you're currently paying for a subscription to a doorbell camera,